What's going on, everybody? TRAE4PAY back in the building, coming at you guys with day 3 of the Darrell Brooks trial. I want to insert like some other type of content onto the channel too, so if you guys could let me know. I don't want to just keep like hitting you guys with the same kind of content over and over. So after this goes up, I was thinking about putting up some To Catch a Predator stuff. Yeah, I could react to some other court cases as well, and we could insert that into the mix. You guys let me know, because this isn't just my channel, it's our channel. But before I begin, I do have to say, if you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe. You know that's much appreciated. And that's about it. You know, the only other thing I would say is hope y'all are doing well. I hope you got some snacks prepared and everything. I just got a bottle of water, so I'm ready. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Here as a third-party intervener in that matter, appearing as authorized representative for my client, I accept for value and return for value all of the charging instruments in this matter and make my exemption available for discharge of all obligations and charges connected with this case. I do not dispute any of the facts in the charging instruments.
All right, the record should reflect that the individual known to this court as Darrell E. Brooks appears in person and in custody. He is in street clothing today, in a suit and tie, also wearing a mask. I checked with Mr. Brooks before calling the case if he had any documentation to provide to the court or to the state. I did look at a number of subpoenas. I told him for completeness, and the one thing I noted was that there was a date and time for the appearance that was not included, and so I just wanted to address that on the record. Since, of course, this is a multi-day, multi-week trial, typically individuals, whether it be the state or a defendant, would put the first day of trial on the subpoena unless there was some other information to suggest a different date. Obviously, we've already started, but I can ask the state if they, given kind of how things have been proceeding thus far. I know originally you had thought it would take 5 to 7 days for you to present your case in chief. Are we still like on target for that from when we started the taking of testimony?
Yes, from when we started the taking of testimony, yes. Right now we are projected to wrap up our case Thursday afternoon or Friday morning. So that would be within that 5 to 7 day range, Your Honor.
All right. Certainly would be reasonable if you picked a date, either Thursday or Friday, if they show up, which presumably they would, right, if we're able to get all of these, not me, but if the state's able to assist, given what they've said earlier in getting the subpoenas out, then even if we weren't quite to that point, I can certainly bring people in and let them know when to come back, and that's pretty typical.
So, Your Honor, just so I'm clear, so I put, so that would be roughly the 13th or 14th?
Today's the 10th, so Thursday would be the 13th and Friday would be the 14th. And then I didn't look very close to the names and whether you had addresses, but you should put in their last known address or other information as to where these people can be served if you know.
So were they actually on trajectory to like wrap up much earlier, but like due to Darrell's antics or something, it went on past the amount of time they had originally thought or something? Like, I'm trying to understand it. I'm not sure if that's what they're saying or not when the prosecution says they're prepared to rest their case at that time. Maybe that just means like they'll be done with the calling the witnesses and that part of the case. So maybe that part would officially be done for them. And I don't know. I'm trying to make sense of it. I'm trying to make sense of it. I'm twisting up my own thoughts, but that's what I think they mean.
So I don't
Are
know.
all of these individuals referenced in the paperwork that you've reviewed?
Yes, they are.
All right. Presumably then, Attorney Opper, you'd be able to look at that and perhaps assist with that information?
Yes, to the best of my knowledge, everyone's address is somewhere in the paperwork, but yes, I'm sure we will be able to find addresses.
The other omission I noted, and not necessarily your fault, is these were stamped by our clerk of court, which is standard. I will direct my clerk with your approval to put today's date for the date that these are all signed by the clerk of court's office, okay? Is that a yes? I thought I saw you shake your head yes. I just want to confirm for the record. Okay.
I mean, it's just a lot of this that I expressed last week that I wasn't really sure how to get done. So whatever assistance,
Kind of your own fault.
appreciated.
All right, so Madam Clerk is directed to put in the date at the top left. And then what I'll do is I'll keep a copy for the court's records, and then I'll give you a copy, and then we'll give the originals to the state so they can look over them and then tell us if there's any issue with trying to get them served. But I need to get that to them this morning with your approval so they can let us know if there are any issues. Do you agree to that, sir?
Yeah, I just got to put the dates in then, correct?
Yes, yes. It would be fine if you did Friday morning. I mean, even if the state got done a little bit early on Thursday afternoon or something, and we, in theory, had time to call a witness, I'm happy to just go to the next morning so that it's clear.
What should I put for the time?
8:30.
I'm literally, I just wanted to say real quick, I'm sitting here like reading you guys' comments, because a lot of times, or not a lot of times, but most of the time, you guys are clarifying a lot of my questions. So I'm just like scrolling through, reading everything you guys have said. So if you see me looking down, that's me just reading the comments again to like refresh my memory on stuff that happened last video, and also to get familiar with some of the stuff that or just learn about some of the stuff that I was confused about last time, because I've been reading them, but I have to keep just refreshing my memory on it, because when certain stuff comes up and I'm like, wait, what do they mean by that? I want to know.
Did you pay off the preliminary jury instructions? I can look at it for a minute. copies of those. If you tell me the number, I can also look that other thing up. I'll just pull up if you give me the number so you can make the copies. 153? 150. All right, while Madam Clerk is copying those subpoenas so that the court has a copy, Mr. Brooks has a copy, and then the originals go to the state to review and assist with service, I do want to address Exhibit 6, which was previously received by the court. This is the 6-minute squad cam and audio footage from Officer Phillips. As I advised last week, after I went back into chambers to review that, I did note what Mr. Brooks had said. I may have been a little bit off on the language in terms of what Ms. Patterson is heard saying, but it's a pretty clear reference to one of the incidents that is the subject of a prohibition by this court related to other acts. And I indicated I was inclined to strike that.
I couldn't believe he was actually right on that, because at first I thought it was just like another delay tactic, but then when you come to find out he actually was telling the truth, I really couldn't believe it.
And so advised the jury, but I would give the parties an opportunity if they had
Definitely
any
caught off guard.
arguments on that to address that this morning. So since the state offered it and there is that violation, I'll turn to the state.
Thank you, Your Honor. First, I do offer my apologies to the court and to Mr. Brooks, because the previous occasions where we had watched that video, we did not catch that. I think the record will speak for itself, but there was a lot going on in that video. As you had mentioned previously, the officer's radio was talking. You can hear the dispatcher, you can hear other officers, and you can hear some people talking in the distance as well. So we did mistakenly include that. However, that being said, Your Honor, I think it's a clear reference to the other acts only if you know there's other acts. Truthfully, I think it's a vague and ambiguous statement. What I heard the statement to have been at about the 2:52 mark in the recording, I heard Miss Patterson say, "Me and my baby daddy, we fight all the time. We had an incident, he ran me over with a car." That's what I heard her to say. She does not say it happened in Milwaukee. She does not say it happened 3 weeks ago. She does not say I suffered a broken leg. To me, in the context of Miss Runkle's testimony last week, in which she testified that Mr. Brooks had swerved at Erica Patterson, and that Miss Runkle had pulled her out of the way, I don't think the jury would have immediately thought Erica Patterson, when she made that statement, if they heard it, was referring to something weeks earlier in another county at another location. Really, the only thing objectionable about that whole quote I just issued would be the very last phrase, "He ran me over with a car." And again, if she's referring to the Milwaukee incident, it's not clear from that statement.
Dude loves using his car as a
I certainly
weapon.
understand, with the knowledge of the Milwaukee incident, there's a reasonable interpretation that's what she was talking about, but she may also have been talking about the events of November 21st, even to an objective standard on this record, Your Honor. I don't think the jury would have realized or appreciated she was talking about another incident. So I think the exhibit can stand as is. We could redact just, about a 2 or 3 second audio from that recording where those words are removed, and I listened to it several times over the weekend. I think if we did that, it would not be that obvious, so that the exhibit could stand in place. The officer, if you recall, the timing is he's getting out of his car and he's approaching them, and she makes that statement about he ran me over with a car, but then her very next sentence is, there's nothing happened, nothing's going on, nothing to be worried about here. And she's essentially trying to convince the officer not to do anything. So again, I think that also supports our contention that if we strike the exhibit or we strike words from the exhibit, we may be calling undue attention to something that was very vanilla to this jury that they really wouldn't have thought twice about, given the testimony of Corey Runkle and Erica Patterson that was already on the record. So we would offer to redact that portion if appropriate, but it may also be appropriate just to leave it stand as is. And should they ever ask to see that exhibit again, we would prevent that from being played a second time.
Thank you. Mr. Brooks, do you have a position on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious to me. I can only hear out of one ear, and I was able to hear clearly what was said. With all due respect, Your Honor, you made a ruling about this previously, in ample enough time before the trial even started. You made the ruling. I see no reason why the exhibit should be admitted into evidence. From my perspective, it's clearly obvious what was being referenced. I mean, if she was able to give any type of statement at that time to the officer, then obviously she wasn't hit at that time on that date, on the 21st. She would clearly be referencing some other incident. Hence the reason why we argue all the time in this, that, and the third. It was clear to me what was being referenced, and because of the ruling, because of
I hope they honestly, I mean, what do y'all think about this? Like, do y'all think I mean, the judge is gonna let us know in a second, but do y'all think it would have been best if they, or it would be best if they leave that as part of the evidence? Honestly, I'm just gonna say any bit of evidence they can leave, to further like show to the jury what type of dude he is, I'm all for it. So I honestly hope that they keep it as evidence. But I know we have like quite a few attorneys and stuff in the comments. Let me know if you think it would be reasonable if they leave that as a part of the evidence, or maybe it would be best if it's left out, like just from an attorney's perspective, if that makes sense. I don't know. A lot of times the way I phrase these questions,
the
I'm like,
implication in that statement,
I'm
I
not
believe
sure if
the
people
exhibit should be striked altogether.
fully getting what I'm saying.
Thank you for your position, Mr. Brooks. And the reason why last week I said I'm inclined to strike it, but I wanted to give the parties an opportunity to review it over the weekend, is in some respects because of what the state just said. There's information on that clip, at least from Ms. Patterson, that I didn't know if you wanted to come in or not, about nothing happened here, right? Those types of statements. So that's why I give the parties a chance to look it over and then come back to court and tell me what they want to do. So your position has been made clear. You believe it should be struck or stricken, as we say. And I agree with you, Mr. Brooks. This court gave a very clear prior ruling related to other acts, and the state had an obligation to abide by that ruling. While I have options available to me, meaning I could redact it if the jury wants to hear it later on, my concern with redaction is it may possibly highlight that portion. We don't know whether any one of these jurors heard it and made a note about it. And that's certainly not something I'm going to ask them to reveal. And because of the violation, and even though there's other things going on, even though I could redact, I am going to strike this exhibit and so advise the jury. As far as advising the jury, I simply want to tell them the following. When they come into court today, as previously the court received Exhibit 6 during the testimony of Officer Phillips. The jury is hereby advised that the court has stricken this exhibit, and the jury is to disregard anything it may have heard regarding what was on that exhibit. Any objection to that language from the state?
No.
How about from you, Mr. Brooks?
No.
All right, then, I know last week I also had indicated I had asked the Sheriff's Department to prepare an incident report regarding one of the occasions Mr. Brooks was removed from the courtroom. I've been advised it's been dictated and I believe written. I haven't seen it yet, but I did follow up on that this morning. I believe I'll have it at some point today, and we'll turn that over to the parties.
That in reference to the 6th, Thursday, October the 6th.
That was in reference to the incident where, if my memory is correct, where there was not about the COVID test, but about the needing you to sit down so that, I don't remember if you were over there or here or what, but they needed to get those restraints either on or off so that you could be situated, and that's where you had indicated you had been hurt. So that's what I'm talking about. I wanted to have a record of that here.
I think that was the 6th. I also want to state for the record that I was given paperwork to fill out a report of my own, and I stressed that because after the detectives came and took the pictures of my bruises and injuries, I was told that they didn't know when I would actually get the actual filing of the report that they were going to report. So I just went ahead and asked for my own. I filled that out. I don't know if it's been given to the right parties yet.
You're talking about the inmate complaint form to have the either the jail or the Sheriff's Department review that related to the use of force.
Yeah, it was the top paper was from the sheriff.
All right, you know that that's not my responsibility to address what happened other than how it impacts this trial, which is why I wanted to have a record. If there's anything you believe should be in the record from you regarding that, then you should turn that in. Okay?
Somebody in the comments also, somebody mentioned, or they asked me if I noticed when the judge tells everybody to rise or to stand up, he usually stays seated, and then like when everyone sits down, he'll stand up to like kind of mess with the papers and stuff like that. I did notice it. I noticed he tries to like go against pretty much everything that she says, like I guess really in some way to retain power in his mind, to feel like he has some sort of control still.
I didn't have anything else on my list of things. I don't know if the state does,
yeah,
or
I
Mr.
did
Brooks,
notice
so
it,
I will ask
silly.
the state first. If there's anything you believe I should address prior to the jury coming things, I don't know if the state does or Mr. Brooks, so I will ask the state first. Things I don't know if the state does or Mr. Brooks, so I will ask the state first if there's anything you believe I should address prior to the jury coming back out.
Yes, Your Honor, I would ask that some of the witnesses that testified last week be released from their subpoenas, especially now that we have Mr. Brooks' witness list. Specifically, I'd be referring to Corey Runkle, Officer Phillips, Kyle Edwards, Holly Berg. I note on his list today, he does still have Erica Patterson and Detective Guth. At some point, we'd like to be heard about that, but we don't need to delay the jury at this point.
All right, any position on their request, Mr. Brooks?
I guess my objection to that would be Officer Phillips. That would be one that I would still like to be under subpoena. Everybody else is I'm fine with.
That's the officer whose squad video I just struck. So you didn't have him in your subpoenas. So you'll need to, for now I'll tell the state they can't release him. You'll need to fill out a subpoena, and I need to have that by the lunch hour today in order for him not to be released from the state subpoena.
And I definitely
Which means he's gonna have to ask the prosecution to do that, because as we know, he can't do the subpoenas.
don't want Erica Patterson released from.
Right, you have her on your
know
subpoena,
you don't
so
want
I
her.
understand
I
that.
just wanted that for the record.
All right, thank you. All right, then I will grant the request from the state as to Corey Runkle,
One more moment of
Kyle
abuse.
Edwards, and Holly Berg. For now, Officer Phillips will remain under the state subpoena along with Erica Patterson and Detective Guth. We can take issues up with that either, maybe closer to the lunch hour or when we come back, or even at the end of the day. But I would like to bring the jury out. But of course, Mr. Brooks, I need to turn to you first and see if there's any issues you believe the court should address.
Very briefly, I just want to state this for the record that I would like to issue the court an apology from me
Oh goodness, I saw this in a clip.
in regards to my actions last week during the trial. I just want the court to understand it's very emotional right now, not only for just the whole situation of the trial, the families here that have to go through, everything that's going to be involved with the trial, but also my family as well and myself is very, very emotional. But not to excuse my actions, I should carry myself with better respect than that. I wasn't raised that way. And I owe you, Your Honor, and the court an apology, and I'm going to stand up as a man and tell the whole court and you, Your Honor, that I apologize to the bailiffs, that I apologize for my actions. Like I said, that's not how I was raised. I come from a Christian background. My mother did not raise me that way. She did not raise me.
It would be wild if they take him to the other courtroom at some point during this video. It would be the craziest thing, like after all this, and then we already know they are going to do that. It might not be today, but they're going to do it again.
And irritation and anger.
He pushing papers all off the table and stuff.
Everybody to know that I apologize for my actions, and I'm going to try my best to whatever happens to everybody here. I just wanted y'all to know that.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. I do appreciate that. Understandably so. This is an emotional experience, I think, for everyone involved. And
Families.
I appreciate that you, upon reflection, have realized that courtesy and decorum are an important part of a court proceeding. I know that despite you being emotional at times and not being an attorney, you certainly, you're clearly paying attention. You've made some very salient points throughout the last few days. I think you're settling in quite well, and we're going to keep this trial going. I know you said earlier, and I just want to make a record of this because it's really important that I do this, sir. You've mentioned repeatedly about your hearing. I know you don't have the headphones on now. We'll give them to you. Just based on what I've observed this morning and how you've responded to things that have been said, I think you're hearing us. But if we haven't made the headphones available, we got to make sure we do that every single day so that if you need them. I do appreciate everything
he
that
sure
you've
hears
said.
everything they're saying to him.
I know we have Detective Casey, who we'll bring up momentarily for your cross-examination, just so everyone is aware. It's my practice when there's a second day.
Is there any sort of medical report that can back up that claim that he's saying he can't hear anything? I think earlier on in the video, the judge said that they performed some kind of medical exam on him and like his hearing was fine or something like that. I'm not sure where I heard that from.
To also put the witness under oath again. So he'll at least be sitting up there.
I mean, his hearing might be bad. I really don't know. Not sure.
Detective Casey, you can come up so that you're on the stand for cross right away as well.
Detective Casey, I heard of. Hold on, let me see who this says first. Y'all were talking about Detective Casey in the comments, but just so I don't look crazy, hold on. Oh, look at this. He thinks that Judge Jennifer's his friend now, so he's standing up when everybody else stands. Let me see, they bringing out Detective Casey. Trying to get a glimpse of him to see, because I'm going to be honest with y'all, I've seen some clips from stuff, but like I don't know who I've seen and who I haven't.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated.
Or based on the names, I don't know.
I'll wait till our jurors have their notes ready. And good morning and welcome back. Hope you all had a very nice weekend. Previously, the court received Exhibit 6 during the testimony of Officer Phillips. The jury is hereby advised that the court has struck this exhibit. The jury is hereby advised to disregard anything it may have heard during the playing of Exhibit 6. With that, we have Detective Casey here for cross, as is my practice. When there's a second day, someone's on the witness stand, I am going to have him stand to be sworn in again by my clerk.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Oh, this is a tech.
Thank you. Please
Okay.
be seated.
Okay.
And once again, for the record, state.
Okay, so this is the detective. This is the cross-examination that he's getting to do on Detective Casey. So scratch everything I just said. I don't know why I forgot that part. I thought for some reason they were bringing in a whole new witness, but I forgot he never got the chance to cross-examine
Your first
Detective
and
Casey.
last
So
name.
Thomas Casey.
Thank
see
you.
what he has
Mr.
to say.
Brooks, this is your opportunity to question him.
Good morning, Detective.
Good morning.
So, how long have you been in law enforcement?
25 years.
Since a long time. I want to direct you to the evening of November 21st, 2021. You stated that you were on duty that afternoon, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall any disturbances that afternoon?
Do you mean when you drove through the parade route? And
Your question was a little broad. Why don't you try to narrow down the time frame?
Why'd
so we
they
can
put the
answer that
camera
more
on?
specifically.
I told you. This is the kind of stuff I would do if he was asking me questions. You talking about when you did it? Like
around the time of
everything, I would just center it back on
maybe
him.
4:30ish p.m.
yes, I do.
Do you remember what you can recall?
Do I remember if I can recall?
Do you remember the disturbance you recall?
Yes, I do.
Would you state what that is? What that was, rather?
I heard a horn beeping, and then a Ford Escape came through the parade route, and you drove past me and wouldn't stop, and you continued driving into the parade route.
Who is you?
Darrell Brooks, the defendant, seated at the table.
Let the record reflect that I do not identify by that name, nor do I know anybody by that name.
Your objection is noted.
So, you heard a horn beeping.
Yes.
Was it coming from the vehicle that you tried to stop?
I believe that it was.
You stated that you've been in law enforcement for 25 years. That's a long time. So it would be fair to say that you operate a motor vehicle pretty much every day. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, I operate a motor vehicle almost every day.
And would it be also fair to say that you would only beep your horn in a motor vehicle if you were trying to alert someone to your presence?
I think that could be a fair statement.
Would it be also fair that you would beep your horn to avoid any danger?
This argument is crazy too, the fact that he tries to use this angle, because also you could stop your car. Okay, that's a major point that he's trying to hone in on. Oh, I was honking the horn because I wanted people to get out of the way. Why didn't you stop to give them time to get out? It's not like you because like they said, his car didn't malfunction. Okay, there was no malfunction that happened, so he could have just stopped, given people time to move out the way, and then eased the SUV through, the road. But yeah,
There could be many reasons.
it's just a
why
ridiculous
person is
angle for him to
beeping
try to
around.
work.
Would one of those reasons be to avoid danger?
It could be, yes.
Do you recall if you were able to see who was operating the vehicle you attempted to stop?
Yes, I was.
And
Don't ask
can you
who.
recall a description of the
Why would you
operator of the
ask
vehicle
this?
you attempted to stop?
He was light-skinned, black male, had some light facial hair.
Is that all you recall?
That is what I recall.
Do you recall what they were wearing?
No, I do not.
So you were able to get a description of how the operator of the vehicle looked, but not what they were wearing.
That is correct.
Do you recall
I mean, I would think in a situation like that, the main thing you would be looking at is the person's face to like try to get their attention to stop. So I don't.
how fast the
ice.
vehicle was going at the time you attempted to stop it?
That's not a ridiculous
I
thing to
believe the
remember.
vehicle was going about 3 to 5 miles an hour when I tried to stop the vehicle, and it continued on past me.
Would it be fair to say that 3 to 5 miles an hour is not very fast?
I think it's very fast when you're in a parade route, when there's hundreds of people marching in the road and a police officer is standing in front of your car, pounding on the hood, trying to get
Right.
the vehicle to stop. I'd say that that's too fast. Any speed
Yep.
is too fast on a parade route when you have all those people in the roadway. A car should not have been there.
Yep.
That wasn't the question, but thanks for the commentary.
Detective Casey, please just answer his questions. Attorney Opera will have an opportunity to redirect if necessary.
That was a great answer.
Would it be fair to say
It's
that
amazing.
that's not a very fast speed?
Objection, asked and answered.
Sustained.
Do you recall if the operator of the vehicle that you gave a description of had any hair on their head?
I do not recall seeing the operator's hair that day.
So it would be fair to say you don't know if they had long hair, short hair, anything of that nature?
That is correct.
So why is he upset when the officer looked at the jury while answering the questions? He's not mad at Detective Casey though,
Do you recall
He's not mad that he looks at the jury.
testifying at the preliminary hearing in this
which I'm
matter?
coming to find out that's a
Yes, I
common
do.
thing that they do to address the jury
Can
when
you
they ask
recall
questions.
what you said when asked a description of the driver of the vehicle you attempted to stop?
I don't recall word for word what I said.
Do you recall being asked the question?
I would think that I was, but I don't recall the exact words that I used then.
Just 1 second. Do you recall saying that the operator of the vehicle you attempted to stop had short hair and a short dark beard?
I'm not sure what the context is, but I don't recall saying that the person had short hair.
The context was the question of, did you get a description of the driver of the vehicle you attempted to stop?
I guess I'm not sure when you're speaking of, because was that when I saw the car or when we saw the vehicle after what witnesses said? It seems like I'm not sure exactly the time period that
So
you're
are we
asking.
talking about what witnesses said or what you actually saw?
Correct, that's what I'm confused about.
Well, you just said that you recall being asked at the preliminary hearing that you testified at a description of the operator of the motor vehicle. Would that be fair to say?
I don't understand your question.
Even the bailiff back here is confused. We're trying to get him to clarify, and it's just like,
I think it's
even
very
I'm
clear.
squinting trying to.
You testified
fully
at
grasp.
the preliminary hearing in this matter, correct?
Yes, I did.
And were you not asked a description of the operator of the motor vehicle that you attempted to stop?
So I believe my testimony was at the preliminary hearing that I did not see the person's hair, if that's the specific time that you're speaking of.
I have a portion of that preliminary hearing that you testified at with your words right here.
Mr. Brooks, what page are you at?
I am at page 17.
All right, thank you.
You were asked, could you see anybody inside the vehicle? Your answer was, at that point, I could not see the person real clearly, but as the vehicle continued pushing through me, I was paused. My position changed to the side of the vehicle where I was directly outside the driver's side window. And I could see inside of the window and I could see the driver very clearly. Would that be fair to say that those are your statements?
Yes, sir.
So, could you or could you not see the driver clearly?
Your question is if I could see him clearly. Yes, I could see him clearly.
So why would you state that you couldn't see him clearly when asked the question?
I think you're asking about his hair.
Argumentative.
No, I
you're
asked
going
about
back
his
and
hair
forth
before.
between-
This is a different question. I asked about the,
Could you ask your question again, please?
you just stated that you could see the driver clearly, correct?
Correct.
But you also said that you couldn't see the driver clearly, correct?
Objection, that's a mistake.
Grounds.
So, Mr. Brooks, I think it comes down to a little bit of context. I'm going to sustain the objection.
He felt so happy that he was like kind of getting somewhere. He's so mad that they cut
And
it
then
off.
If you would please rephrase. I think it comes down to at what point in time in the contact with the SUV are you referring?
Right.
At any time.
What?
Your Honor, we need the question again. That's not, that question is vague.
That's not clarification.
Put it all together, if you would, I'll sustain the objection.
At any time, could you see the driver clearly? At any time during your attempt to stop the vehicle?
Yes, at any time I could see the person clearly that was driving.
The entire time you attempted to stop it, you can clearly see the driver of the vehicle.
Well, at one time you asked any time, and then you asked the entire time. So
Detective Casey, just answer the question, please, if you can. If not, say you don't understand it.
I don't understand it.
Just a second. Did you observe the vehicle strike anyone when you attempted to stop it?
No, I did not.
Did you see the vehicle strike anybody before it approached you?
No, I did not.
Would it be fair to say that there were hundreds of people present at the time that you attempted to stop the vehicle?
Yes, there were hundreds of people there.
And you saw no one struck by the vehicle.
That is correct.
Did you see if anyone else was, could you see rather, if anyone else was in the vehicle?
I did not see anybody else in the vehicle when it passed my location.
Do you recall there being any tinted windows to the vehicle you attempted to stop?
I do not recall the passenger front or the passenger rear being tinted. I believe that the rear windows in the SUV were tinted.
So it would be fair to say that from your vantage point, you wouldn't be able to see the entire seating of the vehicle you attempted to stop.
Objection, that's a misstatement. Your Honor.
Grounds.
Overruled. You may answer the question.
Could you re-ask the question, please?
Would it be fair to say that because of the tint to the rear windows that you cannot visibly see the seating of the vehicle that you attempted to stop?
I did not see anybody in the vehicle. I don't think that the tint had any reasons for me not to be able to see in.
So it would be fair to say that you could clearly see the seating of the vehicle you attempted to stop, front, passenger, and back seat.
From the limited view that I had, I thought that I could see it.
Even though you just said that the rears were tinted.
I believe that it's the far back windows in the passenger compartment that were tinted, not the passenger windows, from my memory.
So it'd be fair to say you can recall every window that was tinted on the vehicle that you attempted to stop.
I think that question's been asked and answered, Your
Grounds.
Honor. His answer should
Grounds.
stand.
Hold on, Mr. Brooks. The objection is sustained. Next question. Asked and answered.
Detective Casey, are you a party to this case in any way?
I don't understand the question.
Are you a party to this case?
I don't understand the question.
Have you filed a claim in regards to this case?
I have not.
Have you read the complaint in this case?
I've read the complaint.
Do you recall who the complaint was brought by?
The complaint is brought by the state of Wisconsin, represented by the Waukesha County District Attorney's Office, District Attorney Sue Opper.
So the state of Wisconsin then would be the plaintiff in this matter then, correct?
That is correct, the state of Wisconsin.
Do you see the state of Wisconsin present in the courtroom right now?
Yes, I do. They are represented at the prosecution table by District Attorney Sue Opper, Deputy District Attorney Leslie Basie, and Assistant District Attorney Zach Witchow.
You said represented.
Yes, sir.
He actually answered the question. Usually people don't answer it, but now you're dealing with somebody that actually knows what
you
they're
see
talking
the
about. So
plaintiff?
he's caught off
The
guard.
plaintiff is an entity. They are represented by the District Attorney's Office.
So the plaintiff is an entity.
Correct.
To the best of your knowledge,
That's
is
a
an
learning
entity
moment.
a human being?
An entity is an entity. It is not a human being.
No, that
To
actually
the
just
best of your
happened.
knowledge, being in law enforcement for as long as you have,
That actually just happened.
would it be fair to say that an entity, which is not a human being, living person, can bring a claim against anyone?
I believe they.
Object, Your Honor, to the
Grounds.
relevance.
Grounds.
Hold on, let her get her objection out, okay?
I mean, I've tried to be patient, but these questions really have no bearing on this.
It means nothing. What does this have to do with you hitting people with your
Objection
SUV?
is
It
sustained
has
on
nothing to
relevance
do with
grounds.
it.
Next question.
Have you ever had any interaction with the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection, irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
How long have you known the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Let her get her objection out, Mr. Brooks. It's sustained on relevance grounds.
This is like, this is cartoonish almost.
Well, I do respect, Your Honor. I think that those are valid questions to the matter.
Mr. Brooks, they've been sustained. Next question.
Move on. No one cares.
Just so we're clear for the record, you did hear the vehicle that you attempt to stop blow numerous times. Blow its horn.
Yes, I heard the horn blowing as it was approaching my position.
Would it be fair to say that that would indicate that the vehicle was trying to alert people to its presence?
Asked and answered.
Also speculation.
Grounds.
Sustained. Speculation.
Just 1 second. So would it be fair to say that the beeping of the horn was coming from the vehicle that you attempted to stop?
Objection asked and answered.
Grounds.
It has been asked and answered.
She
One
just
last
said-
time, he may answer though. Go ahead. The objection's overruled.
I believe that it was coming from the vehicle that was coming to my position, the Ford Escape.
I want to refer you again to page 15. It is from your testimony at the preliminary hearing.
With Your Honor, that's improper because Detective Casey does not have the testimony transcript in front of him.
The district
Grounds.
attorney is correct. This witness does not have the transcript in
I'm sorry. That little low confidence grounds, he said, grounds? Is it maybe grounds?
front of him.
Look at this.
Transcript
Could it be
in front of
grounds?
him.
The district
Grounds.
attorney is correct. This witness does not have.
This
the
is turning
transcript in front of
cartoonish.
him.
Like it's
So would that render him unable to recall what he testified to?
I don't know. You have to ask him that.
you gotta refresh his
That's
memory.
what I was attempting to do, Your Honor. I apologize. So just so I'm clear, am I allowed to read from this or no?
Just ask your question, Mr. Brooks.
From the best of your knowledge, do you recall stating in your testimony at the preliminary hearing that it was in fact the vehicle you attempted to stop that was blaring its horn?
Objection, that's not what the
Grounds.
transcript says.
Grounds.
And it's been asked and answered.
Sustained.
Were you injured in any way attempting to stop the vehicle?
I was not injured when I was trying to stop the vehicle.
What did you do after attempting to stop the vehicle?
I first got on my radio and advised the other units that were in the parade route that red Ford Escape had went past my position. I requested additional squads be sent 1039, which means red lights and siren. Shortly after that, I began running after the Ford Escape in an attempt to stop it, but the vehicle sped up to a speed that I couldn't keep up with it until it hit the next position.
reading from the transcript, page 18. Do you recall us making a statement? Initially, I began, it's sort of what you just said. Initially, I began chasing after the vehicle to try to get it to stop. And as I was following behind the vehicle, I could see that it was on the north side of the roadway, at times beeping its horn. Would that be fair to say that you made that statement?
That is a fair statement.
So even after you attempted to stop the vehicle, you still observed the vehicle beeping its horn?
I heard the vehicle beeping its horn after it passed me.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
Yes, just briefly. I'd like
Nice.
permission to put up Exhibit 120 again, Your Honor. It's already been admitted and published.
Permission granted.
Detective Casey, is Exhibit 120 on the screen now?
Yes, it is.
And you've been asked here today
It
several
is
questions
crazy
from
how
Mr.
clear
Brooks
that
about
picture is.
what you saw as the vehicle passed you. Is that correct?
Objection. I do not consent to being called that name, and I do not know the person that you refer to.
Objection is noted, it's overruled.
Yes.
Is Exhibit 120,
That is so crazy.
we'll strike that. Do you know where on the parade route the vehicle was located when this screenshot was captured?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, I do.
Where?
Approximately at 200 block of West Main Street. The building directly opposite the Ford Escape is 234 West Main Street.
You were back at the intersection of White Rock and Main Street, correct?
Yes, I was.
So about how far was it from where you saw the red SUV with Mr. Brooks driving to where this photo was, where this video was taken, and this is a screenshot from that video, correct?
Objection. I do not consent to being called that name, and I do not know the individual by who you refer to.
You're
Man, I hope they get him to the other courtroom real soon. Isn't it insane how he gave that little apology and stuff at the beginning? I told you. That meant
objection is noted.
absolutely nothing.
May I answer the question?
He's given the same objection like 8 times.
I would say that it's approximately 0.2 of a mile for me, a very short distance.
Okay. Was the appearance virtually the same from when you saw it to when this screenshot was captured?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, it was.
Are you able to see the driver of the vehicle in this screenshot, sir?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
Now he's just objecting because he's mad. So he's mad that she did so many objections while he was talking. So now he's like trying to get her back pretty much.
Yes, I am.
Every
Can you
question
see
she
the hair
asks from
of
here
the
on
driver
out.
in this screenshot, sir?
Cannot see his hair.
Okay, I thought he was going to object.
As the vehicle went past you, back at your post on White Rock in Maine, what were you focused on?
I was focused on the driver's face when it was driving past me.
Okay. You told us on direct examination on Friday you were able to pound on the hood, correct? Were you directly in front of the vehicle at that point?
Objection. It was also, he also said in his testimony on Friday that he can identify the clothing. He specifically said what the color of the clothing was.
Attempting to
You're
testify.
testifying.
That's
You're
not a proper
testifying, so-
objection. As to the specific objection, it's overruled, and Attorney Opper may complete her question.
Where were you positioned when you were pounding on the hood of the SUV?
Objection.
Overruled.
And by that, I don't mean the street, I mean where on the car.
I was directly in front of the vehicle by the left front bumper.
Did you have to step out of the way to avoid being struck?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
The vehicle came in contact with me. As it was pushing through me, I shuffled my feet to the side, and then I continued down the side of the vehicle where I came directly in view with the driver's side window.
Okay. So you would have been, what was the driver doing as it passed you?
Objection. Irrelevant.
As he passed you, I should say.
Overruled.
Objection, I do not consent to being called he.
Initially, he was staring straight ahead, and as I was pounding
Now
on the
he is a
driver's side
problem?
window, he turned and looked directly at my face.
Okay.
All right.
And that, the reason you were pounding on the hood and pounding on the driver's side window is what?
I was trying to get the vehicle to stop.
Did the vehicle stop?
The vehicle never stopped.
Did the driver make any effort to pull over or pull off the parade route at that spot?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
I initially chased after the vehicle, trying to get it to stop. I could see the vehicle driving until it crossed Barstow, where it first made contact with people. The vehicle sped up, and I never saw it slow down or stop until I lost view of it as it crossed Barstow Street.
Okay.
That's how I feel when you start talking.
Okay,
He's
thank
like,
you, sir.
this is how we all
Thank you.
feel.
You may step down.
I'm glad you finally get it.
State may call its next witness.
Thank you. The state would call Officer Bryce Butryn.
Officer, please make your way to the witness stand, which is to my right up a riser. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand. My clerk, Teresa, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and spell each.
First is Bryce, B-R-Y-C-E. Last is Butryn, B-U-T-R-Y-N.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Sir, how are you currently employed?
As a police officer with the City of Waukesha Police Department.
How long have you been a police officer?
Approximately 5 years.
Were you on duty on the date of November 21, 2021, sir?
Yes, I was.
And what was your duty?
I was assigned to a traffic control post for the annual holiday parade.
And what time did you start that afternoon?
I believe it was approximately 3 p.m.
Okay. And you were given a specific assignment of an area to patrol along the parade route?
Yes, I was.
Where was that location?
I was initially assigned to East Avenue at Arcadian Avenue, and I had repositioned to East Avenue and East Main Street.
Okay, I'm gonna actually ask if we could please put up Exhibit 1.
Go ahead.
So I'm gonna give you a pointer, sir, if I may.
Yeah, if I could have Deputy Whittick come get that from you, please.
Thank you. It's on the big screen behind you. I'm gonna have to ask you to use the pointer and just point out these locations, please. So,
Is that expandable? Does he need
Yes.
to open that up? All right, thank you.
okay, you told us first you were monitoring traffic at East Street and Arcadian Avenue, is that correct?
Yeah, so I was at East Stand Arcadian, which would be right here.
Okay. What was your purpose in working that location originally?
Originally, it was to prevent any northbound traffic from entering the parade route onto Main Street, so to divert any traffic from East Avenue to travel eastbound on Arcadian.
Okay. And then you said you moved up?
Correct.
Where did you go at that point?
I had repositioned my squad, which was a marked police SUV, to the intersection of Northeast Avenue and East Main Street.
When did you make that move?
From what was the parade lineup that we had, when there was approximately 10 spots left that we had thought, which was inaccurate at that time.
Okay. So as the parade was starting or
As the parade was nearing the end.
nearing the end? Okay. Okay, you can have a seat again, please, sir. When you got up to near the parade route, did you just stay in that area, sir, or
Yes, I did.
were there any other officers present in that area?
Yes, there was.
And were you just watching the parade and monitoring the people?
Correct.
At some point, did something unusual occur?
Yes.
What was that?
There was initial radio traffic of squads being dispatched to what was initially coded as a man with a knife call. There was information that there was a fight occurring in Frame Park. And then after that, there was radio traffic that there was a vehicle that was entering the parade route.
Okay. And you were near the beginning of the parade route, as you just showed us, right?
Yes.
Okay. When you heard that information about a car entering the parade route, what did you do?
Based on the information that was available at that time and previous situations that had occurred, I unholstered my firearm and stood and began walking out into the road on East Main Street,
What were you doing?
trying to get the attention of the driver to divert them off the parade route.
Okay. And how far into the road did you go?
I was initially positioned right at the intersection on the south side of Main Street. I had made my way to the north side of Main Street, and I would estimate maybe 50 feet or so from the intersection of Northeast Avenue.
Okay. Were you able to visually see the red SUV at that point?
Yes, I was.
What was it doing when you first saw it?
The vehicle was traveling on the north side of Main Street. It was honking its horn, and I estimated the speed to be traveling at approximately 25 miles per hour.
What did you do?
I had raised my left hand and was telling the vehicle to stop, and the vehicle was ignoring what I was doing.
When you say raise your left hand, can you demonstrate that for us, please?
So I placed my left hand out in front of me, indicating to the vehicle to stop.
Okay. Were you dressed in a full police uniform, sir?
Yes, I was.
Just for the record, when he raised his left hand, I would say about chest high, was with a palm facing out as if in the stop position.
Thank you. Officer Butryn, as you stood in that position with your hand straight out trying to stop the car, would you say the car was off to one of your sides or directly in front of you? Could you tell us the position of the SUV?
The vehicle was directly in front of me. I would estimate my position to be where the front license plate would be on a vehicle, so right in the middle.
And what distance was the SUV away from you when you did this?
I would estimate the vehicle was approximately 200 feet or so. It had came extremely close to me as it was making its way towards me.
Did you maintain that same position that you just described for us?
Yes, I did, until the vehicle was getting to the point where I believed that it was going to strike me, so I moved out of the way.
Were you saying anything?
I was saying stop to indicate to the driver that stop the vehicle.
Were you saying that in normal conversational tone, or did you raise your voice at all?
I was yelling to get the attention of the driver as it was loud outside and it was cold, so I believe the windows were going to be up on the vehicle.
Okay. And your testimony is that you stayed in the position with your left hand extended in a stop motion for about as long as you could until you felt you had to move away to avoid being struck by the SUV?
That is correct.
If the SUV was coming directly towards you, did you step to the right or the left of the SUV?
I would have stepped to the right of the SUV, which would be the driver's side of the vehicle.
Okay. Were you able to see the driver of the vehicle as it went past you?
I was able to get a general description of the driver.
What do you remember?
I remember the driver to be a male black, wearing a gray or white shirt, and appeared to be wearing a hat or have their hood up.
Okay. Would you say you got a good look at the driver's face?
I would say yes, I got a relatively good look at the driver's face.
Okay. Did you observe any facial hair on the driver?
At that time, I did not.
And did the car go right past you, sir?
Yes, it did.
As it went right past you, did anything obstruct your vision to see into the car?
No, it did not.
Were you able to see into the car, the SUV?
Yes, I was.
Did you see any other persons in the SUV?
I did not. There was only one sole occupant, which would be the driver of the vehicle.
As you were yelling at the SUV to stop and holding out the stop sign, did the vehicle stop?
The vehicle did not stop.
Did you see what the driver was doing as he went past you?
The driver appeared to be emotionless and was looking straight ahead, clearly ignoring anything that was to the sides of the vehicle.
Okay.
And that's like the most disturbing part of that picture. Is like you can actually see it, like he just has like a dead expression on his face the whole time.
Did you hear the vehicle honking its horn?
Yes, I did.
More than once?
Yes, multiple times.
As the vehicle went past you, what did you do?
I had lowered my firearm again to my side, and I attempted to grab the driver's side door with my left hand.
Why'd you do that?
In order to hopefully open the door and gain the attention of the driver to get them to stop.
Are you able to estimate the speed of the vehicle as it went past you?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled. He may answer.
Based on my training experience, I estimated the vehicle to be traveling at approximately 25 miles an hour at that time.
Were you able to get the door handle open?
I was not.
Did you get a hand on it?
I did not. The vehicle was traveling too fast to be able to do that.
Okay, you reached for it but missed, basically.
That's correct.
Okay. This is the area where you tried to stop the SUV. This is before Barstow, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Did you continue to watch the vehicles that went past you?
Objection. Irrelevant.
Overruled.
I had watched the vehicle and I began to chase after it westbound on Main Street.
On foot?
Yes, on foot.
Were you walking or running? What were you doing?
I was running after it.
Were you saying anything at that time?
Objection. Irrelevant.
Overruled.
At that point, after the vehicle had passed me, I was not saying anything. I just began chasing it.
Okay. And you were running after it.
Yes.
Were you able to catch it?
I was not. The vehicle was traveling too fast.
Can you approximate the speed of the vehicle at this location?
After the vehicle had passed me, I appeared to have begun increasing its speed. The vehicle was traveling approximately 30 to 35 miles an hour.
Did you see the red SUV strike anyone?
Not between the intersections of Northeast Avenue and Northwest Barstow Street.
How about once it crossed Barstow?
Yes.
What did you see?
Um,
You can take your time. I'm sorry. I know this is a lot of questions, so.
I observed the vehicle swerving side to side. People flying from the vehicle, items flying in the air, things like that.
Do you know, Officer Butryn, as you have to reflect on this in your testimony, who was being struck? Do you remember a uniform or a description of any type?
There was so many things flying at that point, I don't know what was being struck.
Okay. Now, you were trying to keep up with the vehicle, right, on foot?
Yes, I was.
To be clear, there's no squad cars chasing the defendant's vehicle, correct?
Not at that time, no.
Okay, just officers on foot trying to catch up.
That's correct.
And at any point, did you see the vehicle just pull over to the side of the road and stop?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
From the time that I could visually observe the vehicle, I did not see it stop or pull to the side of the road.
After you saw the SUV strike other human beings, did you see the driver stop, pull over, and check on those persons?
Objection. Irrelevant.
Overruled.
No, I did not. The vehicle continued.
Was the driver of the SUV still honking the horn?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
From the distance that the vehicle had traveled away from me, I could not at that time hear what the vehicle was doing.
Okay. I'm gonna show a couple videos to you, okay, sir? First, I'm gonna ask for exhibit number 16 to be put on preview mode. Go ahead. All right. Do you see exhibit 16 on your screen, Officer Butryn?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
It's on now.
Okay, I'm gonna ask Ms. Gussie to just play a few seconds so that you can make sure you're looking at the same clip that we've seen before. Okay, you can stop. For the record, about 3 seconds of the clip was played. Do you recognize this video clip, sir?
Yes, I do.
In the preview that you just observed, did you see yourself in the clip?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And I'm going to ask, excuse me, do you believe this clip is a true and accurate representation of your actions on November 21 of 2021?
Yes, I do.
Move to admit and permission to publish, Your Honor.